We're now ready to start assembling our mockup. I'm working with a document called mockupstart.psd. It's essentially our wireframe document, but if you weren't following along, you can use this as a starting point. The first thing that we want to do is add some images to this wireframe to ultimately create this mockup. Now, fortunately, I provided you with the images that we're going to use. Otherwise, what you'd have to do is spend time creating the images that you want to use or sourcing them from one of those sites that we talked about earlier. The first thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of this gray box placeholder. So if we come over to the Layers panel, we know that we're dealing with the main area. So if we expand that layer group, we can go ahead and hide that rectangle. Then what I'd like you to do is come over to the File menu, and from the File menu, you can choose Open. What I'd like you to do is navigate to the exercise files that you downloaded from our site, and in that folder is another folder called Mockup Images. If you go ahead and double-click that, you'll find an image called Main. Go ahead and select it and click Open. Once you click Open, the main document will open in a separate document. There's a couple different ways we can get this into our mockup. What I'm going to do is simply use the keyboard shortcut Control-A. It would be Command-A on the Mac to select everything. Then we want to copy it to our clipboard. That would be Control-C on Windows, Command-C on the Mac side. Once you copy it, you can come back to mockupstart.psd. You want to make sure that you have that rectangle layer selected within the Layers panel. So when you paste it, you're going to paste it just above this layer. The keyboard shortcut to paste is Control-V. It's Command-V on the Mac. Once you paste it, it may be positioned in the right location, maybe not. If it's not positioned properly, press the V key on your keyboard to activate the Move tool. Then you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to nudge it into place. So that's what the main graphic looks like. The next thing that we want to do is we want to change the background for this team section to something other than white. Now, we already have our swatches loaded in that we created earlier, and if you don't, you can always come up to the top right-hand corner, and from here you can choose Load Swatches, and then just go ahead and find that colors.ase file that we saved. Right now we're looking for ACO. You just want to come over here and choose ASE, and colors should appear. Once you have those colors loaded, we're ready to change the background of this team section. Now, what we can do is collapse the main section, but before we do, what I'd like to do is select this rectangle layer that we used to have, or I should say used to use within the main section, and simply drag that layer into the team layer group. Now, that won't change its location on screen, but it does place it here within the team layer group. We can go ahead and highlight Rectangle 2, and with the Shift key, if you hold down the Shift key, use the down arrow key on your keyboard, and eventually you'll see this guy move into place. Of course, we have our horizontal guide set up, so once you have it positioned properly, all we have to do is change the color. To change the color, we can come over and choose the Selection tool, which is located over here towards the bottom of the Tools panel. This is the Path Selection tool. And if you click on this rectangle, the fill swatch will load. And then all you have to do is click this to open up the swatches that you have loaded and choose that blue color that we created earlier. So now we have the appropriate color for the team section. Finally, the next thing that we have to worry about is this map. So we can go ahead and collapse the team layer group and expand the map layer group. We don't need really any of these elements within the map layer group. We have some text here that reads map that was below the rectangle, but we don't really need either one of these. So what I'm going to do is leave this for right now, and we're going to paste a new picture on top of these two layers. So let's come back to the File menu, and from the File menu we can choose Open. Inside that same directory, you'll notice we have map.png. Go ahead and open that, and again, let's go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to select all, Control-A or Command-A on the Mac, and copy it to the clipboard, Control-C on Windows, Command-C on the Mac. Come back to the mockup page and paste it. Once you paste it, it may or may not paste it in the proper location. In this case, it's pretty close, so I'm just going to press the V key on the keyboard to activate the Move tool, and I'm going to nudge it down using the down arrow key until it aligns with my horizontal guide up here towards the top. And I just want to verify that it does go from edge to edge. So that looks great. We can come over and delete these 2 layers. They're no longer needed. So we're making pretty good progress here for our mockup. The next thing that we want to do is incorporate some of those paragraph styles that we set up earlier to make our text look a little bit better. And then we'll start introducing some navigational elements, some buttons, and we'll also clean up the footer.